I'm curious to know how an asset identifier might need to change or may become incorrect as the same piece of content migrates to different platforms and for different audiences. So you have a TV show, it airs on broadcast, it moves to cable, it has to be recut for the clock, it moves to syndication, has to be recut again for the clock, some characters may drop out. How do you deal with all of that?
Yeah, that's a very, very common use case when you get to what we would call programming content, where things are cut a myriad of ways. You know, you could have, yeah, if you look at an older movie, Gone with the Wind, there's probably 100 or maybe hundreds of versions of that out there. And so that was a very important requirement to begin with, and that's one of the reasons that we ended up selecting as the preferred identifier in this case for that type of content being the IDER. And because the IDER is built around being able to differentiate those versions, so every different version of a piece of content, if we talk about a movie for instance, would have a distinction in the IDER. So version A would have a different IDER than version B than version C. So we would embed those with the correct versions on them. That actually raises an interesting question though of the key here then is tagging the content at the right point in the chain. You don't want to tag it before it's been versioned, right? Or if it has been tagged before it was versioned, you need to be able to remove that tag off and put an updated tag on that properly identifies that content. So that's specifically one of the use cases that we identified in this group, was the ability to remove a tag and put a new one on there. A classic example of this that was brought up by I won't say the name, but a major sports network brought up the case where they'll do their nightly sports cast, and they use clips from all kinds of different people, from all the different networks, from the different baseball games or football games or what have you. Well, if those events were originally tagged with asset IDs, you don't want somebody watching the sports cast and the tags are changing every 10 seconds, the way they do all these different highlights. So they need to be able to pull those off and supersede it with an overall tag that says, hey, this is the Sportscast program, and don't change it every 10 seconds as I'm putting up a different clip. So really that's the same kind of use case, if you think of it as versioning, that you could have with movies or TV shows that have multiple versions. You still need to be able to pull off that original tag and put on an updated one to reflect accurately what the content is.
With the one difference being that the sports example is within one network and the general versioning conundrum is over a series of not only different networks but maybe different media companies.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why it's very important that we be able to both take these tags off and reapply them at virtually any point in the chain of managing the content. So this is not something that you can handle just at one point. You need to be able to do that, when and where it's appropriate. And so that's really a key to making all this work. And that's been one of the requirements that we've had in the document from the beginning.
So here's the big question: how do you scale this? How do you get everybody to agree?
That's always the challenge, isn't it, with any standardization effort? That it's really just the first step to say this is the standard. Now it's a big first step because it gives everybody at least something to point to, which they don't have today. The industry does not have a single unified way of doing this. So we kind of see that as the first step, and this will then enable people to see here are the advantages of doing this, and they will hopefully voluntarily adopt it. This is not something that is going to be government mandated or anything like that, or even mandated by the industry in general. I don't think it's going to be something that people should see the advantages of doing this. I like to say that pretty much every other business out there has faced this problem and has addressed this problem of identifying the things that they're selling. Our business is a little more complex, I think, than a lot of other ones. We can't, for instance, just stamp a UPC code on our commercials like a lot of people with hard goods can, or put an RFID on a commercial, that sort of thing. So we have challenges that other industries don't have with this, and ours is a very complex business. But I think it's become clear by the quality and quantity of people who have dedicated time to this, that this is a real problem and there's a real motivation in the industry to fix this. So I'm encouraged by that, and I think the fact that we've got the buy-in of the major media companies in this that I think we do have a good shot at widespread adoption if we can come up with a nice, workable, and reasonably priced solution to fix this problem.